guys, we are live right now at the Greater Huntington Civic Group and Elwood Taxpayers Association meeting about the Villadom, proposed Villadom Mall. This is the rendering. This is the meeting with the developer. So the developer is here. This is the developer's rendering of the project. It does not show. I'm trying to give you guys a good view of it. He's got a few boards here. It does not show where Jericho Turnpike is, or I don't. Oh, I guess that up there is the 30-foot bridge where the park would be. Okay. Hi. Sorry. This is the existing condition. This is what he's saying. So this is Jericho right here. And then that red area would be the spot. There's a little strip mall down here. That's where Green Cactus is. And that's for that one. I just want to show you all the displays he has. Now there's another one over here. Looks like a site plan display. Alright. I'm filming, just so you guys know. So these are the, I guess these are the retail separate buildings that they were going to put closer to Jericho. There's Jericho across the bottom.
Sneaking in for a second. No, don't apologize. I'm only going to be a second.
Let's take a closer look at this. Two-story retail center with a cellar. This is also 2 stories. This is 2 stories, oh, an atrium, okay. And then the supermarket's over here. Oh, interesting. Okay, and this is for a restaurant. And I guess there's a main entranceway. Retail, some smaller retail places, 14,000 square foot, that's not so small. I wonder if the other shopping center is part of that. Let's go see. Let me go see. I don't think so, no. The other shopping center stays. Hey, Tom! Oh, sorry, you look like Tom DiGiacomo. Sorry. Oh, see?
My name is Tom.
Oh, is it? Shut up. That's crazy. This is the other, I'm filming. This shopping center is actually included in the project, so I guess that's the one in the lower left corner over there on the plan.
This is the one where that,
the green cactus.
And the laundromat and stuff.
Yep.
So what happens here?
That's the park. That's not the property.
Okay.
So this is the footprint of the property that they have to work with. So they would basically have to excavate all of this and then build some kind of a retaining wall because there's like a 30-foot grade difference. So the park will be up on another level.
You're not far, are you?
I'm here just to film and educate the community on the options that are available and let everybody...
So this is Fenimore Lane here. This is Warner Road.
Let everybody
Now,
decide.
residents here, is this the apple orchard over here?
This is the apple orchard.
Okay, so what does this residence mean?
That's
that they plan to have residents there, or it's existing?
I don't know, I guess we'll find out. I know that...
All right, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody for joining us. This is the Greater Huntington Civic Group and Elwood Taxpayers Association meeting. As always, we always start off every meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody will please stand. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. For those who don't know me, my name is Stephen Spuchas. I'm the president of the Greater Huntington Civic Group. The reason why we called this meeting was because there was a lot of online talk about this project. And there were a lot of facts going back and forth, and I just wanted to get everybody into the same room who cares, like we do, and have a conversation with our community. This is not going to be a presentation. This is going to be an open format to voice your opinions. And I'll tell you why that matters. I've been a civic leader in the town of Huntington for 10 years now. How I got started matters, so just please bear with me. I was driving down the street one day, and I saw a bunch of picketers with giant signs that said, "Stop Avalon Bay, stop Avalon Bay." And I said to myself, what the hell is Avalon Bay? So I went home, I Googled Avalon Bay, yada yada, and one name kept popping up over and over and over again. Jennifer Lavertu, Jennifer Lavertu. So I said, let me call Jennifer Lavertu. Called her up, started discussing it. I go over to her house, and I said, this is a travesty. I said, who can we call? There's got to be a civic group. There's got to be somebody there to help us. And there wasn't. There wasn't a strong civic in the town of Huntington. Not a civic that could say, whatever happens in the station is going to happen in Elwood, whatever happens in Elwood is going to happen in East Northport. There wasn't that unified voice. Not that we're all going to agree, but at least there was a unified voice to say, hey, let's get the information out. And in the last 10 years that I've been doing this, and I've been volunteering, why, I don't know, but in the last 10 years, I have had hardship after hardship after hardship. And what I mean by that is, every major development we had, we were the last to know. And if I say anything incorrect, please raise your hand. This is an open forum. We were always the last to know. The community was the last to know. The developers, the town, they all knew everything. We knew nothing. So what did? We took the pitchforks, we took the signs, and we marched on Town Hall. And that's how I spent the last 8 years. Now, we had some victories along the way, but they were hard fought, and there was a lot of wasted time. So we formed the Greater Huntington Civic Group, which is an entity to try to have a conduit to Town Hall, so that when these projects come out, we're not the last ones to know. Okay? It's very important to discuss, because that's going to lead us to why we're all here today. So, rewind 3 to 4 years ago, Greater Huntington Civic Group, Elwood Taxpayers Association, Preserving Elwood Now, we were knee-deep in an altercation with the Seasons at Elwood. Are you guys all familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. Was that fun?
Lots of fun.
Lots of fun, yes. So during that, once again, we were not at the table. We had no information, nothing. It was, this is what's going to happen, here, here, and here. Talk to our elected officials. It is what it is, it is what it is, it is what it is. The community of Elwood got together. They took it from 500 units down to 250. Some liked it, some didn't. So 3 years ago, as we're doing this, we get a phone call from Chris Torkin. He's the builder who's looking to propose this project in Elwood. He says to James Cameron, who was the president of the Elwood Taxpayers Association at the time, he said, this is what I'm looking to do. There was no meetings behind the scenes. There was no, let me talk to the councilman and councilwoman first. Is let's talk to the community. So Chris came to us, hat in hand, said, this is what I want to develop in Elwood. Do me a favor, guys. Go out to the community and explain what I'm trying to do here. Okay? And there's a few board members of the Elwood Taxpayers Association that I see here. You guys were part of those meetings. I think 23 to 28 meetings we had. The overwhelming majority wanted this project. Okay? So us as civic leaders, because it doesn't matter what we think, it matters what the community thinks, okay? We went out there, we showed support, we went back to our town council people and said, the community's for it. 3 years ago. And then Chris went and he did his thing with the town. He got bamboozled every which way from Tuesday. Every which way from Tuesday. They changed the project 3 times on him. They said, you have to put this, he put that. You have to put this, he put this. No, but now you have to do that, and he did that. Okay? So now we're here. In the town of Huntington, I truly believe that now the civics matter. We matter. Our voices are being heard. Okay? But with that comes responsibility. Now we got to make sure that what we're fighting about, we don't have to fight, we can just have a conversation. And that's what this meeting is for, is to have this conversation with my community members. Because not only do I donate a quarter of my life being a civic leader, I also live in Huntington. I have a wife, two daughters, and I work in the town of Huntington. So it matters to me what gets built and what doesn't get built. The first thing that I saw was that this developer was doing the same old business in the town of Huntington. And I said, that's not true. I've been there since day one as a civic leader. And he's been above board 100%. The second thing I heard was he's looking for tax abatements. How many people heard that?
I think it's on record that he did.
He did not. He did not, and he's not looking for tax
2013.
abatements. What's that?
He hasn't taken it, but is he guaranteeing that he won't take it?
Yes.
In writing to the town and to the people?
Yes.
And if he does, the penalty, he pays 3 times the abatement?
I have told Chris, I've told Chris 1,000 times.
Okay,
1,000 times.
Okay,
If
then.
anything you say or do is not done and said, then all bets are off and you're on your own. Now, I'm not here to promote this project. I'm not here to promote this project.
Timeshares here.
I'm wondering how you came to the conclusion that the community supports it. You made that statement, but how did you, the Greater Huntington Civic Group, and then I think the Elwood, how did you come to that conclusion?
We had 23 to 28 individual meetings with civic leaders.
Nobody met with us.
Right.
Right around the block. Nobody came and talked to us.
Right.
So you may have had 23 meetings,
How many members?
but you were talking to the wrong people.
How many members do you have now? How big is your
And
organization?
how are you elected as president?
Again, we need to understand, okay, we're all community members here.
Yeah, but you need to understand that you don't speak for the community.
I'm not saying,
You're up here talking like You're not talking to me. You're not talking to my neighbors.
Why did he call you? Why wasn't that presented right? Why didn't Chris go to the town and say, I want to speak to all the members of the community, send out a message? We need transparency in this town. Not
100%.
small groups that say they stand for everybody else. I don't know who you are. I never met you. I would run over you and not know your name.
right,
Nothing against you, because there's been a lot of time and effort in it.
I have an
And like
actual
you said,
question.
you don't speak for the community. So those 28 meetings,
right.
they mean nothing.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'm just telling you.
I'm just laying out the facts.
Legal,
I'm just laying out the facts.
Wait, hold on one second. I have an actual question
Yes.
based on the facts that you gave.
Sure.
As a real estate developer myself in Manhattan, why isn't he taking a tax abatement? No one doesn't take a tax abatement. That doesn't make any economic sense.
There's $8.8 million.
Why isn't he taking a tax abatement? I've taken tax abatements on every single project I've ever worked on.
Right.
So why not? It's just, it doesn't make economic sense.
He's here. He's here. He's trying to introduce him.
Guys, just please, one at a time. We're all humans here. Calm down, one at a time, please.
I'm just
Please.
curious if everybody here are against this project. How many? Okay, the community spoke.
Overwhelmed.
The community speaking now, see?
See? Nobody wants.
Alright, so back to the question. Why are we doing tax abatements?
This project doesn't qualify for IDA relief. I was sent to IDA some 5-6 years ago
2013, so.
by the town,
Right.
invited by IDA. I listened, they asked me, what do you think you can do here? I said, the project is zoned for residential.
Right.
I
Alright,
was-
so leave it the way it is.
Wait.
You already did. Let him finish.
I want
Let him
to.
finish. You gotta let him finish.
This is the question though. You're not committed to build this if they approve it. You could put something else in that the IDA does approve.
Anything that's
And
C6
why
zone.
don't you do that?
Or
Because are you really, is this, I asked someone before to show me the map. I could make that up and say it's Disney World. None of, are you committed, that's what it's gonna look like? I asked someone, what's the green belt? Oh, well, that might be something else like the library. So this is total meaningless. You just want the zoning change. You'll get control of the
Can
property.
he just answer the question?
Well, let him finish.
Yeah, I actually.
No, I'm just asking.
I know. I'm trying. Go ahead, Chris.
Commercial projects in Long Island do not qualify, from my understanding, for IDA. This is a all-commercial project, mixed use, but it does not include residential. I understand there is a criteria to meet the IDA requirements, and this project does not meet those requirements. And that was the end of the conversation. Never been applied to, never been met with anyone, it's never been discussed, and we have put it on our website and pledged to the community, those that attended the past 20+ meetings, that there is no IDA, and I'm saying again tonight, there's no IDA.
This is not a mixed use plan. It's not mixed use.
Mixed use to the extent of commercial, no residential.
Well, hold on, the reason why I'm asking this question is because a C6 zoning change does in fact allow you to put residential above the commercial, as long as the commercial is the primary use. So what I'm asking is, you're saying right now you're doing no residential, and you're not taking this tax abatement, which I understand. But what is to prevent you down the road from saying, this project isn't going to work because I wasn't able to get the anchor tenants that I need in order to justify it. So I'm modifying the project, and it's now going to be more like the Mayfair Shopping Center with 2 to 3 floors of apartments above it, which at that point does qualify you for the tax abatement. Are you saying you will still not take the tax abatement, and you will still not build residential there?
Yes.
Okay.
The answer is, if we change it from what we're applying for, we have to go back to square one. You can't unilaterally change to residential, add second floor, and make
Once you have the
this
C6 zoning, you don't have to change it. C6 zoning includes residential above.
So the zoning permits a variety of uses, but the application for this property is limited to what we applied for, and that's what it will be. The site plan and the building permits will be limited to those uses.
I understand that, but once you have your zoning change, changing that is easy. We did that in the West Side Yards.
In Manhattan is a different story.
It's-
Long Island, I've been 6 years, I haven't had one public meeting yet.
How many malls have you built on Long Island?
Shopping centers.
Where?
How many?
malls?
Which
Where?
ones?
This is not a mall.
Where?
Where's the shopping? Looks like a
What
mall.
shopping centers have Long Island?
I have built in Manhasset, in Great Neck,
What shopping centers?
East Hills.
There's no shopping center.
That's not shopping centers.
There are shopping
I worked there, I was in Nassau County
What's the
College
name of the
25
shopping
years.
center you built there?
There's no shopping center, you have the old
You can
Macy's,
look it up on our
and you have
website.
the Miracle
You
Mile.
can't tell me the name
That's
of
not a
the shopping
shopping
center.
Everything about my life is already on the website.
So
But
say
you
the
just,
answer.
you just told us that you built shopping centers, but you can't name them. So why should we trust you about anything? Who are you taking?
Again, now, as
Potential.
a community, what do we want for this site?
No change in the comprehensive plan, there's no basis for it.
Reserve, water, reserve
Okay.
is what we want. I live next door. I wake up, there's birds, there's rabbits, there's fox, and here now there's deer. Part of my land, the town asked for so they could protect it for the Clean Water Act. I can't understand why they wanted my 2 acres to protect the water, because I am surrounded My property goes into the 100 acres of protected Berkeley, Jackson, Suffolk County Park. To put next door a project, any type of project that will pollute the water, we don't have, we have cesspools. It's going to go right down and leach into the water underneath the bed of Long Island. Why would they do that? What is the value of my 2 acres staying clean, that no one can build on my 2 acres, but we can now build on 55 acres? We can now destroy the trees to have 1,900 parking spots? Does this make sense to any?
No.
Now, Mr. Parker, you live in Kings Point?
What's that?
There's an empty shopping center right across.
Right next, there's no shopping mall there.
We really need a whole new building, can't we just move into the existing building?
The whole premise behind this is, again, please don't use the messenger.
You're not the messenger, you're the one who enacted all this. You told us that you had 28 meetings where you decided to tell the town that we all wanted.
You represented for yourself, and to these people that you represent your 28 meetings, and that's it, and none of us ever were.
Can I ask a follow-up
Shame on
question?
you, because people like you should stay out of this business. Because you think you own the whole town, you don't. So take your time and spend it with your kids, because you don't represent all the people. You're not elected officials.
It was, again, it was in.
So you have rosters of those meetings of who was there.
Okay, I have a question for the developer, if he could just stand maybe, and don't worry, I'm not going to attack you. I have a question about the specific agreement that you have with the landowner. Like, who owns the land right now, and what's your current agreement with them? Do you have a contract with them? What's the specifics that you have?
The property has been owned by the
Can
Villadom
they
family.
speak louder so we can all
Maybe you
hear
can
you?
put the microphone. I'm sorry, thank you.
The property is owned by Sal Villadom. It's been in his family for, I think, 2 generations. We have an agreement to lease the property for 99 years.
Right. And did you sign an agreement with
Yes.
him? Now, did you already invest any money with him? How much did you invest total, if you don't mind sharing that?
Confidential business.
Okay. So you have a contract with the landowner, Solomon Media Villa,
Yes.
and you signed a contract and you've paid him some fees already?
We have invested money, yes.
You have invested money, but would you like to share, like, how much you invested?
How does that relate to this application?
It's just good because it just, to me, like, just shows like what your intent is, that, you know, obviously if you invested a substantial amount of money, then you are now at a point of no return where you have to see something come through. So that's why I just wanted to ask that question.
To gauge your interest, to gauge my level of interest, I have been working on this for about 5.5 years.
I see.
And I have expended significant amounts of time in researching market studies, professional studies, architects, engineers.
But my question, but my question is specifically, have you paid Media Villa to make sure that, you know, like, what stops him if from choosing a different contractor to do the ground lease? Like, if you paid him any money directly?
Like a binder.
Like a binder, like, in other words, yeah, from bringing somebody else, like, you know, deciding that, because from what I've been reading, there's supposed to be a ground lease, but I'm assuming that is there a contract now between you and him?
Of course.
And have you paid him directly any money?
I said it before, yes.
Yes, you have, okay. Now, I had another question though. I've been reading, like, online, there was a petition a few years ago about syndicated ventures. Who is Syndicated Ventures?
That's my company.
That's your company, okay. And who are the principals of Syndicated Ventures?
I am the principal.
You're the only one? Okay, so when they had that petition against the, this plan, and they said syndicated ventures, then that's the same as you?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And where is that based out of, syndicated ventures?
Great.
Great Neck, okay, okay. That's my own, oh, one last question. What are the specific terms of the ground lease? Like, how much are you going to be required to pay Media Villa?
It's confidential.
That's confidential. Okay, thank you, sir. I do appreciate your time. Thank you.
And I actually have 1 minute, completely, because I'm dying of curiosity again as a developer. Who are the anchor tenants, or who are the prospective tenants? And I understand you don't have any contracts yet. But what are you shooting for in terms of tenants?
We have explored a number of alternatives. A spa and a health club was a anchor tenant.
What name? What entity? What?
The initial conversation was with Lifetime Fitness.
And again, supermarket,
We have not engaged in anything
other than,
definitive, because I have nothing to engage people to.
And one other thing, thank you, Chris. One of the reasons why that we wanted to have this meeting was to show that the developer and the town want to listen to the people. That's exactly, we have town representatives here. So,
I'm sorry, you said 5 years, he said 5 years that he's been working on this project, but
Right.
nobody bothered to talk to community. Now.
that's what we're doing now.
We didn't know about.
We talked to you, you didn't talk to us.
I know.
2 years ago.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here, is
There was
to,
a meeting, there was a meeting a year ago.
Snuck through at the planning board level, where they actually changed all the resolutions, and there was a comprehensive plan that was overturned, it's
Right.
a legal and binding document. Okay, that was overturned, changing of zoning.
now, when you say snuck through,
There was no resolution, there has to be a resolution.
Right.
on the table for that.
that's the reason why I'm here taking this line of fire, is because it wasn't snuck through. Now, granted,
It was snuck through, and if you watched it on TV, you would have seen it was snuck through. The poor lawyer was up there trying to get information, and they're telling him, oh, you have to FOIA this. And yeah, you'll get it in 2 weeks after the meeting. That isn't sneaking through?
from the information that I was told was, he was in front of the planning board, and they gave him the ability to go to a live town meeting. Now, we have a new super,
There was a
yes.
meeting like last year, where we met with the owner, this guy and his son, I believe, and where we said we don't want this to go through, a year ago.
Right.
We had a public, we said we
Yeah.
don't want it. So where were these meetings, and who were the people at these meetings that said it should go through? I need names and numbers.
Yeah, I want to know which town
I wanna
councilman
know where
raised
these
his
people-
hand and said they want this. Because that town councilman,
town
I'm not
councilman-
voting for his ass.
No town councilman has ever said yay or nay about this. We're not at that level, okay? We are still at,
What I would like to know.
We're sitting here begging to have you change this.
Listen, there's 28 meetings we didn't get to, so, right, what's the problem? That your civic association and the Elwood Taxpayers Association thought this was a good idea. Let's hear your side on what the people at the meeting said, why we want this. We want something half the size of all Whitman Hall. Okay?
wait, can we take a step back for 1 second? Am I incorrect that nothing's been approved yet?
Correct. Nothing's approved yet.
Listen, I love hearing things, well, let's take this quick step. We just got brought the chance to conduct an open conversation with everyone, and we're slapping this in the face. Let's have the open conversation. You know what, you're right, we need to be heard. We need to be heard. We need to be heard correctly, right? It's an open dialogue. I agree with you. Listen, my commute's heck right now. Right? I get it. But listen, we're giving you the opportunity. Let's calm down, breathe a second, and understand, if this wasn't here right now, you'd be just talking to each other.
You wanna know why here?
We have a question.
Tom, go ahead.
This is good that we have this open dialogue, but let's understand that it's an open dialogue. Nothing is approved yet.
Guys, one at a time, please. Tom, go ahead.
I'd just like to address the discussion of all of the meetings and how the conclusion was that the community supported it. I was the former VP of Elwood. You know, you're a rude person.
Yes.
You've interrupted just about everybody who had
You keep
something to
saying
say.
the community supports it.
I'm trying to give you an answer, but you don't even want anybody answer. I've been trying to give an answer. I just interrupted the first time. I'm trying. So, we had the Huntington Civic Group, the Elwood taxpayers, throughout the whole seasons of Elwood debacle, at multiple meetings with the community. During that process, this thing got introduced. Chris Talking came in and spoke to us, and of the people that attended these meetings, there was support. Now, the problem is, nobody comes to the meeting.
I nobody knew about it. They never come.
The civic participation is up to you guys to show up and voice your opinion. This is the same issue that we had with Elwood taxpayers. Nobody showed up until the very end, and then all of a sudden everybody was against it. So all I'm saying is that there were lots of community meetings, Elwood taxpayers, and that you people didn't come to. I'm not saying what side I'm on with this. All I'm saying is the meetings favored people. It was open invitation for people to come. People didn't come.
How can you go to the meeting and has not heard of that?
Okay, guys, please, guys,
Lots of people made it to the
guys,
meeting.
there's a lot of, you guys,
How many people are going to
This was a very tough meeting to have, like you just said, Lisa. I understand it's a tough meeting to have.
What's a tough meeting? What is a tough meeting? What does that mean?
I know, I'm trying to have it civilly.
Let him present, let you present, why do you want this, and then everyone can ask questions. This is not simple, we're not like this, we don't want to do this.
Why don't you go around and ask everybody?
I agree with you. I agree
We'll all
with you.
shut up, everyone go down the line.
I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%.
We'll all be.
So right now, this is
Everybody
the
ask a question.
open format so we can have a conversation amongst fellow
Then put the
neighbors.
mic up and let people get up here and
That's
ask
right.
questions one by one, say.
Absolutely.
Instead of just shouting out.
I agree with you.
Get control of your meeting.
I agree with you, thank you, Jen. So there was a, yes,
Question. I live on Manor Road.
Yes.
You know it'll be a disaster if this happens. You can say anything you want. Traffic's already horrible in Jericho and in that area. That being said, why doesn't he want to sell the land and build residential housing, which is what people would appreciate? We have a ton of empty stores on Jericho, all right? Manor and Old Country Road Light is already horrible. Let me finish, all right? Why doesn't, I know why he doesn't want it. He wants the money for leasing the land forever, all right? Why doesn't he just take the millions he'll get selling it and be done with it? Build a housing development, forget the malls, the shopping centers that we don't need. There's probably between Larkfield and 110, 50 empty storefronts, some of which are very large and completely empty, losing our tax base, all right? We in Elwood, all right, pay a fortune in taxes.
right.
All right? For what? For our school district mostly. Okay, it's a good school district. That being said, we don't have a commercial base. I don't know what this will actually produce in terms of commercial tax abatement for us, but I doubt that it'll cover lowering our taxes more than $1,000, that much.
Right.
All right? So the bottom line is, Elwood could use some commercial industry to lower our taxes. It's not going to happen there. Because right now, why would anybody move into some place that's so expensive because it's brand new? It's got to be more expensive than the empty places that are sitting out there.
And if it lowers Elwood's tax, what about people who live in South Huntington, Dix Hill, all these other places? It's not going to lower my taxes, but I'm going to get stuck with the...
So, there was 3 or 4 questions produced to me is why would somebody support it? Why do I personally support this project? Okay?
You got some money.
I wish, oh, do I wish.
That's
Oh, do I wish. Thank you for that. Okay, so,
Spends all this time for the community to make an allegation like that.
thank you, Tom, thank you.
Why do you support it?
I'm getting it.
Yeah, thank you.
So, I looked at it as Elwood, on Jericho Turnpike is a commercial area, right? And there's a lot of, on Jericho Turnpike, it's,
We need some green space.
Let me explain.
Yeah, let him finish, and then we can tell them why he's wrong.
So at the end of the day, we're looking at a strip of Huntington on Jericho Turnpike that has a lot of vacant strip malls, a lot of box chain stores, okay? A lot of vacancies. The retail world has changed. And again, this is not a pitch, this is my personal opinion. So what you have to do is you have to start to adapt to the retail world. In my opinion, I think that something like this, built like this, built in terms of architectural design as a destination center, is going to bring in the necessary tenants that would support and help with our tax base. Now, that's at its core, okay? If you disagree, that's fine, okay? I'm not a town council member. I don't have a vote. I am putting this in front of us so we can have this conversation.
Who needs a destination center away from a residential
Yes.
neighborhood? What is the proposed rental per square foot?
According to the website, it's looking to bring how much in additional tax revenue?
No, I'm not talking tax revenue, I'm talking the actual tenants moving in. What will they be charged per square foot for rent?
Depends on the tenant.
It's not the thing, what are your baselines as far as what you would charge for
The
rent?
market rent is between $20 to $30.
So that's the feedback that I've been getting back of why this is good.
So it's for
Now-
money, tax base?
Yes.
And that's what, back to all those meetings we missed, where people that were there, which we don't know how many are there.
So should we
what happens
not?
if no tenants move in? What happens then as far as tax base?
That's a whole nother story. Again, I don't have a crystal ball here, okay? All we're trying to do is put this in front of the community in an open forum. So again, everything here is being recorded, it's being noted, okay? So this is a good thing that you guys have a place to vent, okay? And to speak your mind so that people can listen.
I just want to report
Yes.
what you said.
Absolutely.
You said you feel that this destination will bring people. What research or similar places in similar communities to ours is telling you that that's what's going to happen, or is it just what you feel?
No, it's based on research that I can send to you.
What's another place just like this in a town like ours that's this
You have something
wonderful
similar. You
destination?
have something similar to in the Americana. You have stores.
Not here.
Seriously.
You do not have a Peltier, you do not have a Bergdorf Goodman, you do not have a Chanel.
Okay.
This is not going to be a high-end place. Look, I am born and raised in this town. Let me speak. I am born and raised in this town. And I am personally very familiar with this property. My brother's a geologist, and he studied this. He is wanting to build over our aquifer. He does not have waste treatment plants. He has cesspools, which are going to leach phantom, underestimated amount of raw sewage into drinking water. The water district is fed right from that well. He lives in Great Neck. He is on his own town planning board. I can promise you. No, don't dismiss me. Look at me when I speak to you. I've been respectful to you. I'm born and raised in this town. I'm 57 years old. I know Huntington. And I know the previous board intimately. Frank Petrone used to get his hair done at the same salon as me. I know him very well, and I know exactly how this board works. And I understand that, but there are board members here who will hear us. And I know specifically who on this board is in favor of this, because he lives right across the street from a preserve in Kings Park. So it will not affect him. Point. That said, all I'm saying is, I know how this board works. I think that what should happen is there should be a town vote. Ask people what they want. And I need to know, from you personally, because you're saying this is an open forum and you have no bias, you came into this clearly biased in favor of this. Yeah. And I want to know how this is going to be a benefit to you and your daughters. Because we need green space in this town. Chad Lubinacci, our current town supervisor, has this mysterious ideal that Huntington is a microcosm of Manhattan. Clearly, he has not been on the island of Manhattan in at least 20 years. I have. So if this is going to be a microcosm of Manhattan, I would love to know what his future vision is, because I have seen so much wretched building in this town, I cannot believe. And I can tell you that this proposal is blowing smoke up our asses. That means that it's R40 zoned, and that when you buy a property and a town dictates what zoning is, and they turn around, you expect them to honor what they are enforcing. That's why we have code enforcement. If this is down zone to C6, how do I know my neighbor next door in my R40? I'm on 2 acres. My neighbor behind me is on nearly 3. He may say, well, you did it over here. I want it to be now R10.
Well, we could have had the same argument about every single development ever built on land.
Because these are master
No,
plans.
because some are going to
Okay, have you read Horizon 2020, the town? Read it.
All right, thank you so much, I appreciate it. I'm trying to keep
Because
this
I
moving.
know
Yes.
how this town works.
I'm trying to keep this moving,
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead. Janice in the back.
This is a more logistical question, I guess for the developer or any town. People here that want to speak up, but if this zone change takes place, I know everybody in here is very passionate about the environment. Where I live, we're facing development in a massive residential way in Fort Salongo, which is on the northward side. We're in the town of Huntington. And so my question is, when will the environmental review take place? Is that before or after the zone change? Because I think that's something that would give a lot of people peace of mind, knowing that a thorough environmental review was taking place. And so I don't know how this works, but I don't know if anybody in here can speak to that.
Chris? Wait, let him answer. Go ahead.
Before. That's what. Before the zone change.
So you're saying you're gonna do another?
Before the meeting on May 17th?
You did one, the town did one, so what do you said you would do a third one?
I'm not gonna do anything.
Are you doing another environmental impact statement?
The DIS has been done, and it's on the website, and it's also, the town has it.
But what about so why don't we go through some of the points? I mean, let's do a productive meeting.
Yes, let's do it.
Right?
Yes.
Why don't we go through some of the points?
Sure.
I didn't really want to be the one to do this, but.
That's why you're here.
Go to the microphone, yes. Much better. Use the microphone.
So you stated when we were at the Elwood Library last week, that when we
Turn the mic towards you. Good.
we all spoke, you heard from us. Mr. Twerkin, of course, wasn't here, but you heard from us of many of our concerns. The traffic, the effects on our water. Can I just see how many, so we don't just keep repeating ourselves, how many people that are in this room were here at the Elwood Library? So about half of us were here at the Elwood Library. So
Why isn't the community completely
notified by a letter of some sort stating this meeting is being held and this is the discussion. I live in Elwood, and the only reason I know about this, okay, is because I am the governor of this lodge. And I am the one that put this up, where we put it together. Okay? So why is not Elwood residents, people that are not involved with the tax association or taxpayer, whoever you guys are, okay? Why are we not told, oh, hey, we have this meeting coming on about this?
Well, that's why. That's a very good point, yes.
Good point, but if every idea has to be mailed out, our taxes will be higher.
No, so did I. That's my question. My problem is.
All right, guys, you gotta, please, we are all here to have a conversation, not a screaming match. Please, let Lisa continue.
I was just going to say that I think that this is really unproductive. I think that we're a wonderful community. We all have the right intentions. Our hearts are in the right place. I'm sure Steve, even though I don't agree with him, I'm sure in some way his heart is in the right place. My heart is in the right place of not wanting my water polluted. And all of the environmental impact studies show that. I mean, we could go point through point. I mean, if you want to start out, let's start on water. Would everyone like to hear about the water? Yes. Okay, so you want me to first go with water, or would you like to first go? I mean, are we going to be like, I'm the plaintiff, you're the defendant, I'm the defendant,
I'm
you're
just
the
a
plaintiff?
moderator. I'm just a moderator. Go ahead.
What do the environmental impact studies show?
Okay, so Mr. Torkin, would you like to come up and speak about the environmental impact study?
I'm here to listen to the community. I have
I thought that the point of this meeting was, that's what we were told. The point of the meeting was to hear from the developer, and when we were at the library, you said, okay, you and James Cameron. Is James Cameron here? No. Okay, so James and yourself, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but you said, okay, at this meeting, you're going to tell us why you are...
I never said that. I said this is a meeting for the community to come and speak their mind.
No, ask questions. No. Ask questions.
Yes.
Not speak our minds. Ask questions, but we're not getting answers.
Yes, it's true. This is the presentation.
Whoever wrote that, if you look at the original flyer, it was to have a community conversation on the major project. We have the developer here.
He should talk first.
Let's ask questions.
We love you, Mr. Talkin. We love the community. Let's talk.
Okay, so let's start out with the water. Okay, so this is the letter from the Green Lawn Water Supervisor. And in it he writes, in response to your June 3rd, 2013 letter on information related to public water supply to the proposed Villadom development conceptual plan, we offer the following comments. The estimated daily water consumption of 33,600 gallons per day appears to be significantly underestimated. We are concerned that the proposed 17,700 square foot restaurant and the 90,000 square foot fitness center will by themselves use at least more than the estimated water quantity. Furthermore, there will be significant irrigation demand for landscaping. Please investigate these conditions. The closest supply wells that will serve the site are well 3R and well 6 directly south of the project site on the south side of Jericho Turnpike. Instead of reading you the whole thing, I will then also now ask the question. So are you aware that the Green Lawn Water District recommends an on-site sanitary wastewater treatment plant for this property instead of a septic system? I'm not going to leave you. I'm right here.
I just want to bring up, I'll answer the question. I just want to say, you have been at every meeting that I've attended, I think.
I've been
all 20 plus.
No, I think I've been to one that you had 2 years ago at the Elwood Library.
Right. One meeting. That's right.
I thought that we met each other many times. But anyway, so I was invited here yesterday to come and listen to the community. That's why I'm here. We did.
Yesterday?
Yes.
We had his team on the docket, but at the last minute they pulled out. So Chris stepped up. Chris stepped up.
I don't know what transpired, but I was asked to be here, and I'm here now. I'm happy to answer as much questions as I can. As to the technical questions, I would rather hear your questions and have a professional reply. And I'm happy to do it on paper, on Facebook, however, whatever medium that you would like to hear back.
Like tomorrow?
My intention, as soon as I can, my intention from inception has been to reach out to the community. I think we made every effort. I've attended at people's homes, at various civic groups. I wish more people attended. At every meeting, there were maybe 20,
We
30.
didn't know about the meetings.
I'm sorry, I have no other way
You know,
of
my
reaching.
address, I didn't have to write it.
I had no other way. I took it upon myself to reach out to the civic leaders that were available. I reached out, we attempted as many times as we could, and I thought we were reaching people that were concerned, but I can see there's a lot more of you here that is concerned. I'm here to show you that I care, I want to listen. With regard to the questions Lisa has, I'm going to attempt to answer as many of them as I can. Regarding the Green Lawn Water, I read a letter from the Green Lawn Water Authority. The summation of the letter said that they have 3 mains that will sufficiently supply water to this development. In addition, they said they have asked from the previous developer, and they are asking now from this applicant, to see if there is a way they could provide, we could provide land that they could add another pumping station with a certain distance from the regulatory distances for sanitary disposals.
So you're saying that we're not going to put in a septic system. You're going to do a waste treatment.
The design of the sanitary disposal has not been completed. The properties generally based on acreage comes with a certain amount of credit of discharge. If we meet the requirements with health department, it's regulated by the state to discharge it in a method of cesspools and sanitary on site. That's how they're going to demand it. If they require treatment plant, that's how they're going to require it. We will do what's required in accordance to state law.
Why not do better?
I'm sorry.
I have to say something. Whatever goes in there should have a sanitary system, a sewage disposal system. No matter what the state says or doesn't say, what the regulations are. Okay, the regulations are one thing. The community, I think, is very clear about not wanting the water adulterated, and that there should be some kind of a treatment plant right on, no matter what goes in there. That's my strong opinion. I wouldn't even consider saying yes to something like this without that, because Long Island should be going in the direction of everyone being connected to a sewer system instead of our septic systems, which is really, when you think about it, it's really gross.
I was a student of Lee Koppelman, one of the most renowned leaders and protectionists in Long Island. I will take every measure that's feasible and required to protect the water and the environment in every possible way. The state requirements are pretty stringent, and they're not going to allow any type of a system that would in any way pose danger to the quality of water.
So could you special place the aquifers have to be taken into consideration?
So again, I'm not a geologist, but we did refer to our professional consultants, VHB Engineering. Their reply to me was that they will adequately answer this in the DEIS. It has been answered, and they will adequately answer it in the additional documents that are required by the town.
So if I could, Mr. Torkin, and Stephen, thanks.
This is the gentleman that I have seen at least 20
You have
times.
seen me plenty of
At
times.
least 20 times. He has been to every meeting from day
I've been to
one,
many
and I
meetings.
met with you the first time. First
Very
person
good.
I met.
And what's your
One of the
name?
first, absolutely.
100%.
What's your name?
My name is Andrew Kaplan. I'm a resident of Elwood. I don't represent any civic group.
Oops.
I represent kind of this movement, so to speak. So I've had the opportunity to review the DEIS and kind of understand a little bit more of the process. So in regards to the water, and I'll just say maybe it's just unfortunate that this particular location is where it is. It happens to be on what they call the divide, where water doesn't go north or south, it goes straight down. It's across from the pumping station. According to the DEIS, the estimate of nitrogen output will take from the existing base of essentially 33% of the limit and bring it to 54% of the limit, which is starting to get pretty high and pretty close, and believe me, those are the numbers. The concern here is that the superintendent of the Greenland Water District has come back in his document and said specifically, since you're proposing 90,000 square foot gym and restaurants and such, he believes that just those alone, never mind the reduced density model that you have, will put out far more water than what you've predicted there. And therefore, they would like to see something better than what they call subsurface leaching ponds, cesspools. And we have a number of articles that have been published in local papers, and a number of local engineers who've come out and said that this will happen. So my ask is this, or our ask is this, in regards to the water, because we are sufficiently freaked out over this. This is not like, you know, tin hats and aliens and stuff. This is real. They want to put a well there. That's how real this spot is. The process, as I understand it, is you file the DEIS, you get your approvals, and then there's a final, but you're already into it. I think what we're asking here in regards to water as a community is we'd like a plan that tells us in the draft that this will be addressed properly. All due respect to VHB, you know, the engineers that are working for a developer, they get a range of numbers and they pick the number that works best generally. So what we're asking you tonight, the facts, is to maybe go back to the drawing board on this water thing and really give us a draft that addresses what the superintendent of the water district has issued and all the things that I've just kind of laid out here in a very basic, non-engineer way from a water perspective. And I say it with absolute respect.
Just a question. Wouldn't it be better for the water if we didn't have this project at all? And then we wouldn't have to worry about
it. As early as yesterday, I know that the VHB engineers spoke to the Greenland Water Authority to discuss these concerns, and I'm sure that the dialogue will continue. VHB is a national engineering firm with offices across the country. It's not a one-person operation with outstanding reputation. We purposely selected this company with their resources and knowledge. But I know as early as yesterday, they were speaking to the superintendent of the Water Authority, and the topic is on the table, and we'll do every measure that they recommend.
Well, you'll share whatever those updates are?
100%. Everything that we do is on our website, and I will continue to post it.
It's really not.
I added, well, if you, I put my email, I put my phone number, I invite people to call. I haven't had one phone call. Not one phone call. I have a dedicated line to answer questions. Send me emails, send me your questions, and let us have the opportunity to address it.
What about traffic? Let's get to the next topic. What about traffic? We're not getting anywhere with water. Let's talk about traffic.
Excuse me.
Can I say something about traffic? Because I live on
This is not my show.
I live on the corner of Manor Road and Jericho Turnpike, so as I say, I'm the next door neighbor. Dealing with Jericho Turnpike is extremely difficult. When there is no traffic, you're talking 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning, I can get to Route 110 from Manor Road in 5 to 7 minutes because it's 3.5 miles. Once the day begins, once it's 9 a.m. until around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, it will take me for the same 3.5 miles, because today I clocked it, 15 minutes. So I'm traveling, 1 mile takes 5 minutes. When rush hour kicks in now, which begins at 3 o'clock, because the school buses enter and people start to leave work. It starts at 3 and it will go to 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. To do that same stretch of 3.5 miles can be 35 to 45 minutes. What's happening with Jericho Turnpike is the LIE in the northern state are already backed up. So anyone who lives up here knows the shortcut is Jericho Turnpike. So we all start to cruise up Seaford Oyster Bay Expressway, starting, which is Route 135, another 4 miles west of Route 110, and that's when the traffic begins, starting at 3 o'clock. Now that traffic goes all the way to the Sagda Coast Parkway. So we're talking from my house to Seaford Oyster Bay, 8 miles. Now we have another 8 miles from Manor Road and Jericho Turnpike to the Sagda Coast. That rush hour continues solid to the Sagda Coast Parkway. So my daughters and I know you don't go shopping, you don't get on the road after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now I'm told that the traffic is going to increase by 1,400 cars per hour. I can't imagine Jericho Turnpike even moving. We're not talking about slow traffic. We're not talking about 10 minutes for 1 mile. What are we talking about? Half hour for 1 mile? I can't imagine any solution to the traffic. Could you address that issue?
So, I'm not a traffic engineer. I'm not a traffic engineer. We had prepared a traffic study. It was submitted to the town. Town, on their own, hired a traffic engineer to review our traffic report and concluded with certain recommendations to mitigate the traffic that's added, and certain parts of it they appear to agree with our report.
But you hear what I said. Could you respond? Because you know how it is to drive on 2 lanes each
So
way.
I don't have knowledge to the degree that you do, but I can tell you the 1,400 number that you cited is taken out of context. It just doesn't make sense. It's not. It's taken. Yeah. So I am sorry. I'm not a traffic engineer. I can't address that. But the traffic report and the town traffic consultant has both those reports are published.
When was it, Brown? I'd like to talk to him myself, because he must be blind. He must be a blind man, because we're not making it up. It took me about 30 minutes to get here from my house.
So I was in the same traffic. It's rush hour time.
You'd like to have that every day? Trucks going by?
So-
You're gonna add 1,400, that was your number.
So I guess since we don't have this traffic study here, I guess.
We have it.
We have it, okay. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Andrew to the rescue. Andrew, right? Who was it? Andrew Kaplan?
So my understanding is that the town, you gave the town some money for them to have an independent party review the analysis, not actually perform a traffic analysis. And they found many flaws, and some of it's technical, so when you read it, it doesn't necessarily sound correct. But where essentially Turning movement counts were conducted immediately prior to a major holiday. A discrepancy exists in the traffic volumes along East Deer Park Road. The traffic volume was not normalized with recent automatic traffic recorded counts. Consider revisions to the proposed site driveway on Manor Road to reduce traffic flow and conflict on roadways. The queue on the southbound approach at Manor Road and Jericho Turnpike would spill back past the access roads. The northbound approach at Old Country Road and Deer Park Road will operate at unacceptable level of service and nearly double the queue length in residents' driveways. So, you can tell I've been reading a lot of stuff. And so we're talking about facts, right? Yes. Again, nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault that this happens to be sensitive land as far as our recharge basins are concerned for water. It's nobody's fault that it's landlocked. The town's comprehensive plan, and it's my issue with this one change in the comprehensive plan, says that the town of Huntington does not have a classic grid system to mitigate traffic. And what you've got at this location is it's landlocked. You've got 1.5 miles with no access. And the only access from the south is that little 2-lane Old Country Road, which in your proposal adds a 3rd lane. You have turn-offs and such, which sometimes makes sense, but to mitigate the traffic at the intersection of Park Avenue, where you make a right to go north at Jericho and Park Avenue, it says extend that right turn lane that's there now, which is just the corner, 250 feet back. Well, to create a lane there, you'd have to move the Hyundai dealership off of its foundation. That's what this is saying in these bullet points that says spillbacks and all this stuff don't make sense. So that's why, and I'm sufficiently disappointed with the town for having gotten this and really not having somebody read through this and try to study it and talk to other experts like I have. So we talk about facts, and so again, I understand, you know, draft and then you go to final, but this stuff's real, and you're just landlocked there. You can't necessarily solve for this. And the study itself only went as far east as Warner Road. So we've all waited at the Dix Hills Diner to make a left onto Elwood Road, which means you have to wait 3 or 4 lights for it to change. And we've all done the same thing going the other direction at the 5 corners. The analysis didn't go that far. Maybe because it doesn't have to, but that's really because that's landlocked. That's the places where everything really starts to gum up. So again, nobody's fault. This thing's landlocked. It's an uncensored land.
There is a fault. The fault is it's going to be built there. That's the problem.
I try to be respectful to your situation. You can respond to that. And I have a copy of the independent report if you'd like to look at it. But these are the things that we've been talking about amongst ourselves. I take umbrage with people saying that we're spreading mistruths. We're not. We're using the documents that have been provided to us to try to understand better. And if you can help with some clarity on this, I treasure that.
Valid concerns that we wanted to get on the record before the town board meeting. Because at the town board meeting, it's too late. Now's the time to voice your opinions and to get answers and get things done. So I'm very, very, very happy about everything that's being discussed. We got 15 minutes. So go ahead.
In May.
So we get a whole month to try to figure out, get the whole community together and say we don't want it? That's it? We had 5 years?
If you want to volunteer in one of the civics and help us out, I would love it. We would love it. I would love it. I would love it. Love it for everybody to get involved.
And we live to make you love it.
What's the rush?
What was the purpose of this meeting? We were told that the purpose of the meeting, and this is what we were told us the other day, the purpose of the meeting is to meet with the, and you said it at this on Sunday.
I didn't say Sunday.
Well, whatever day it was, last week, you said, we're going to have a meeting, I'm not giving you my position, Mr. Torcan, the developer, is going to be here, he's going to have all his experts, he's going to have his traffic, he's going to have his water, and we're standing here like fighting with each other, and you don't even have questions.
He doesn't want to hear them.
They were unable to
They don't want to
attend.
tell us.
Yes,
They
we have-
Why are they able to
Why are they
attend?
gonna come? They're
No,
employed.
no fault of ours, they were
Like
unable
fired.
to attend. And Chris stepped up and he said,
Call
I'm
them
gonna
up
try
now,
to,
we'll wait.
I'm gonna try to fulfill as much as I possible. So, that's what happened.
It's not fair to, I mean, we have all, you know, people say, okay, what are the facts? So we're giving everyone the facts, but it's not fair because there should be, okay, what are
He knows nothing.
what are
What do
the
you say about the
facts?
company if their own people don't show up?
Back up and I'll
those-
it back.
and
You're
those
gonna
are
come,
valid-
Mr. Dorkin, maybe get some money in my family.
Those are valid concerns that we're gonna take back to his team, that Chris is gonna take back and try to get these answers. I'm gonna do my best to get these answers back. I understand.
We all have lives and other things we could be doing.
Absolutely.
But we're
I hear
here
you.
for answers from Mr. Torkin,
Right.
and Mr. Torkin does not have answers.
Could we
On-
ask a question
on-
that maybe
we-
he does,
yeah,
maybe
can we do
he'll
it that
have,
way?
maybe he'll have answers to, rather than like expert
If
analysis?
anyone has a question, they should just maybe make a line,
Absolutely.
and then they can come to the microphone and ask it.
I
Absolutely.
want to know, was a study ever done, Mr. Torkin, about how many more accidents with the extra 400 cars? How many more deaths? 1,400 cars per
Why
hour?
don't you make a line if you want to ask a question, and then we can all go one by one, wait for his answer, and then move to the next person, then maybe we'll get through this fast.
That's a conversation. One person speaks, another person speaks.
Okay, so, first of all,
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
I guess mine is in more than one part,
Hey, go
but
ahead.
first of all, Mr. Spruces,
Yes.
I saw on Facebook that you, after this meeting, were gonna go back to the town and tell them the pulse of the community, so I'm curious what pulse you're gonna tell them?
I said we. I said we.
Who's we?
Everybody here.
Well, someone here was gonna be here and then go back to the town to tell them, to report back the pulse of the community.
Town is here. Thank you. Town is here.
Okay, okay, no, maybe I didn't understand the pulse.
Town's
Okay,
here, listen.
Mr. Torkin
As-
and Mr.
hold on,
Spruces.
hold on, guys.
Wait, no,
As a
you said
civic,
report back.
yes, as a civic representative, the whole idea was to get
them to
people
identify themselves.
together so that we can voice our concerns, and the town is here, the town is
I want the
listening.
representative.
Okay, my actual question.
Stand up.
Are, Mr. Torkin and Mr. Spruces, are you aware that there's a elementary school on Deer Park Road?
Yes.
It's not in Elwood, it's in Half Hollow Hills. And the only route from your supposed mall to the LIE is directly past that elementary school. There's a playground right on the road on one side of the school, and soccer fields and gym fields on the other side of the school, right on that road. And you're proposing having about almost 2 years of construction where you're gonna have 18-wheelers going back and forth, delivering sand back and forth between your site and the LIE all day long, Monday through Friday, 7 to 5, every day for almost 2 years, in front of these kindergarten through 5th grade children who don't live in Elwood. Every 12 minutes, someone did the math. And then after that, all the delivery trucks added 1,400 cars from your mall, where these children go to school and play every single day. Did you take that into consideration when you thought this was a great mall? And would you have taken it, would you have liked this mall so much if that was your child's elementary school?
And Country Wood is on Old Country Road, and it's an elementary school also.
Yes, there's also one on Old Country Road that's part of, not Elwood, Huntington School District.
South Huntington.
South Huntington, sorry.
Again, it's not my project. I am just
But you're endorsing it.
endorsing it.
Yes, you are. You are endorsing it.
You're telling the town that everyone wants it. Okay, thank you. Were you aware of those elementary schools? Okay, and are you aware that there's no other way to get from your site to the LIE without passing that elementary school?
Two schools.
Both of them. Well, one or the other, I guess. Now you're aware. Thank you.
All right, she just addressed one of my problems, but let's start from, you want to build a shopping center, and you have to change the master
Point the
plan.
mic to your mouth.
You have to change the master plan in the town. Once you do that, it's a slippery slope, and then you can do anything. I mean, I have a piece of property, I'd like to build 4 houses on it, instead of having, an acre and a half. Let's put 4 houses on it. They want to change the zoning there. The zoning is for a reason. If you can't downzone it from 40 houses, which is about what you can build on that property, to 480-something thousand square feet, which is almost half the size of Wall Whitman Mall. we don't really need a big shopping center here. So we already have a problem with traffic. And part of that 1 mile between Warner Road and Manor Road, you have like an easement of where the traffic's, the worst part is they go fast, but at least it eases the traffic in either direction, which is horrendous. It kind of lets it spread out a little bit. So this, I know you said you've been working on this for 5 years. If you went out and traveled during rush hour and during the day in this, all these roads, not only Turnpike, not only going up Old Country Road or trying to get to the Northern State. I mean, the Northern State's a disaster. They're changing all the exits just to handle the traffic now. And you back up, you go down like a rush hour, and you're in the actual first lane trying to get off the highway. And people are going 60, 70 miles an hour and could rear end you. So they think by extending it another 400 feet or whatever, that's going to solve the problem. But what we're doing by building this is attracting people from all over the place. It's not going to be the local people only that are coming here. You're going to want to, you know, that's part of your retail development, is to attract people from other towns or from all over. So it's not going to be a local problem. It's attracting more people to the area that already has a problem. I don't believe the 1,400 count an hour, because that would be 28 cars a minute. I don't think that's really going to happen there, but it's probably close. So how are these cars going to get out to the main feeder roads? And what happens to all the side roads when Jericho Turnpike becomes a nightmare? People are going to go down Manor Road, they're going to go down Little Plains Road, they're going to go down Warner Road, and you're doing all this and trying to get an answer from the town within 1 month. We haven't even seen what the debacle of, and the town didn't listen to us, about building 250-something units on Elwood Road, how that's going to affect our traffic. It's already backed up in the morning way past, you know, by that, up to that project right now. So you had 250 households. How much more traffic is that going to be on that particular road, which feeds into Warner Road, which feeds into Jericho Turnpike? So the whole area is super congested. I think if you wanted to feel what the community feels, you should drive around on the high traffic areas during our concern and see what it's like to get around now without this. And that's our problem. The other problem is they weren't allowed to mine sand off this property. They haven't mined any sand in Huntington for decades. You have a lot of sand there. Right now the water goes in that sand and it's probably a great benefit. Now you're going to take all that sand out and put asphalt. It's going to go into dry wells with all the other contaminants that cars bring. You know, they have to have remediation sometimes because there's so much pollution that goes into the dry wells. So that's our second issue, because the wells are right across the street. And so you're going to take out all that sand. How is this property going to be changed? You're going to level it all? It's going to be different elevations?
Sir, someone else needs a turn.
Thank you. The trucks is an issue.
I don't really have a question for you, but I want my opinion heard.
Use the mic.
No, I don't want to use the mic. Because you're here, you're 57, you're here a long time. I'm going to be 60. I've been here my life. Here's my house, right here. You had 28 meetings. I'm not sure who does your PRV meetings, but I live right here. You can see my pool. I don't know about one of your 28 meetings. So I don't know where you're putting out your information that there were meetings. Traffic? Yep, because when you can't move the Hyundai place and people can't get on Park Avenue, they're going to start coming down my street, down Henry Street. I don't want it.
On the back end.
I don't want it. Because I'm talking to him.
I know, but you have a...
No, stop. The traffic's going to be ridiculous. What's going to happen when you start moving all that sand? What kind of stuff is going to be going into the air? That I'm not going to be able to use my backyard that I've lived at for 60 years because of all these stuff floating around in the air. I like being in my pool and seeing the bats fly by. Where are the bats going? You're talking about the rabbits and the birds and everything else. You're not taking into account the quality of life of the people who live. Okay, none of it's on your pretty picture, but everybody that lives in these houses is going to be affected by what you do. And this is too big and not what we need. Huntington does not need to become Queens.
I
I don't live in Elwood, I live in South Huntington, which is also going to be affected, although not nearly as much as the past person that just spoke. But I don't want my neighbors, and I still consider Elwood my neighbors, to be affected by this. This is ridiculous to change the zoning from R40 to construction. If you would like to build houses, we would all be in favor of that. But to make this monstrosity, people bought houses right next door that said 1 acre zoning. It's not fair. And this is blood money. I surely wouldn't want to get an extra tax break in my taxes just so that person could build and those people would have a mall in their backyard. It's not me. Okay, I'll give you the extra $100. And as far as just the traffic, I was going to ask, but that's more important. I don't want anything down zone. That's ridiculous. And the traffic, obviously, is flawed in your proposal, but have you ever done a study, or have they done a study on how many accidents, how many extra accidents, how many people are going to get hurt, how many people are going to die because of all the extra traffic? Have they done a study on that?
Not aware.
Not you're aware. They probably should, because extra cars mean extra traffic. Also, have they done a study on how much extra time the emergency vehicles will take to get to fires, medical emergencies? That's all important things running on all these roads. Jericho Turnpike, I live off of Old Country Road, 1.5 miles away. It's going to affect me as well. Not as much as the people right near this, obviously, and my heart goes out to them. But it'll affect us because every road will be congested. It just can't handle the traffic. So please build houses and not a mall.
Mr. Torkin, I think if you're listening, and you said you wanted to come and listen to the community, I thought we were going to hear from you, but I guess we misunderstood that. But I think you clearly see that the community pulse is no to your project. I'm sorry that you put a lot of money into it, but there's certain things that are worth more than money, and you would do this for your own family. When I came here 30 years ago, this was a community that was countrified. We had all the amenities we needed. It was the perfect place. We had the Northern State Parkway close. We had great schools. Taxes have gone up. The population has gone up. But certain things that could mean life and death, and it's true. We're not making. Some people said we put chatter on Facebook. One thing that's not chatter, and you can look that up, it's the fact. Suffolk County has the highest rate of cancer and the worst air pollution rate in the state. When I first came here, I could go out my back door at Dix Hills. It smelled like the country. I had fox running through, I had birds, I had herrings flying by. Now when I come out, I almost have to cough up from, it's not from you haven't started your project yet. It's from projects already here, some aren't even completed yet. So to add another monster, it's not like a small project. That's just going to make cancer rates bigger, quality of life worse. So another question I really have is, this planning board sat on this for 2 years. We had these meetings 2 years ago. You had a bunch of meetings with the planning board since then? The planning board, since 2016?
They delayed me all these 2-3 years.
Right.
One time is an election year, one time it's whatever, there's a application for seasons. They just delayed me months at a time.
When did they start speaking with you on this?
I've been in dialogue with them. I've been calling them and trying to find out any feedback, but it's been continuous, but I haven't had anything with planning board.
But I mean, they just made this decision on March 1st to change a comprehensive plan that the town, it sounds crazy, the town spent millions of dollars for a comprehensive plan, and the plan said to have a green belt and have a break in the commercial area of Jericho, and to have more green space. So there has to be a significant reason, and you must have been given them, and I'm sure you've sunk so much money into this project. You can tell us right now, what reasons did you give them that are so great that we should give up our health and our green belt and change the comprehensive plan that this town board planning board without speaking to, I don't think anyone knew about it. Suddenly stuck this in, and that's why people get angry. I'm sorry if I seem disrespectful to you, but people are a little bit fuming mad here. This is our life. You sunk a lot of money in your great estate up in Kings Point, but we all put our life savings, our kids through school, taxes, and now we see our community being destroyed, actually. So we need answers, and I will tell you this. If this board, and who's here today? I keep hearing someone's here from the town. Who are they? Step up. 11? Well, I hope they get back to them, because if they vote for this and the people don't want it, we will stop your project.
I'm also here on behalf of Councilman Cook.
I'm sorry?
I'm here on behalf of Councilman Cook, Eugene Cook.
Well, please tell Mr. Cook, in all respect, they better push this back, and we better have some real meetings in this town, so they represent the people and not the developers, because the developers are destroying our community.
Hello, I just want to make 3 comments. My name is Hector Gaviria. Okay, this Saturday at 1 p.m. we have a planned rally to stop the Villadom, and that will be at the Dix Hill Shopping Center where there used to be a path mark. By a show of hands, how many people are going to join us this Saturday, 1 o'clock? By a show of hands, how many people are going to tell 5 of their friends to come with you? This Saturday, 1 o'clock, I'll see you there. And speak to Lisa at the back. And we have a Facebook group, Stop the Villadom, so please look at that group, join it, and ask your friends to join it too. So we'll see you there Saturday at 1. Now, I have another comment that I just want to also mention, just to avoid confusion. May 17th, there's a public hearing, okay, that the town board is going to have at the Elwood Middle School. And I don't believe they're going to vote that night, but everyone here, including myself, has a chance to speak in front of the board about their thoughts. How many people are going to be there? How many people are going to invite their friends? Tell everyone. Okay, so this Saturday, 1 p.m. and May 17th. We'll see you there. Thank you. Okay. Well, I was just told it'll be 90 days after that public hearing that they'll be. I have a chance to vote, but we have to hear all of your voices, loud and clear. Thank you very much for the time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gina. I'm from Dix Hills. My kids are 1 and 2. They will go to Comac. They won't go to Burr, which is part of the Green Lawn Water District, but I'm here about the water. My question for Mr. Twerkin, in all your research, you see that this is a very sensitive area. It's over an aquifer. There's a sand mining operation that might be taking place over an aquifer. This is a road that obviously has a huge amount of traffic. There are flooding situations that happen right in front of this area as well. There are so many water issues. This is something, if this land was to be developed, I'm wholeheartedly sure that the whole town would want the best people developing this land with the most care for our environment. So it makes me wonder, when you have an architect on this project who has never in fact built a shopping center before. He has only built residential homes and mansions. So it really makes me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, wonder, what's going on with this building? What kind of studies are you doing? It doesn't seem like you're being receptive to the community. It doesn't. And if you want to work with the community, we're obviously here. We're here to hear you out. But at this point in time, we're incredibly disgruntled because, I mean, everybody's already said it, and you see what's happening. So, thank you.
I want to thank you for coming. It was very brave of you, because I was under the impression people who knew something were going to be here. That said, I was 4 years old when the Walt Whitman Mall was built. And I vividly remember being in the back of my mother's station wagon, looking out at the vast amount of potato fields that were once there, and my mother going, "Lauren, that's going to be a mall." and I had no clue what a mall was. Now, I have looked at the Walt Whitman Mall over the past umpty years, and I see Williams-Sonoma is gone. The anchor stores that you can't promise us aren't going to go there. What I want to know is, how is this of any benefit to us, long-term? Number one. Number two, I'd like to know, how much money are you getting for the sand that you're going to sell, and will you be reinvesting that back into the community? Because that's worth a great deal of money, and I know one of the board members, Mr. Cuthbertson, had discussed something about some things being changed regarding soils and sands being taken off of sites. So I know that's a lot of money. And also, in the big scheme of things, this is not going to affect me at all. It's not my water district. I have a compound that's very... What do you want your legacy to be? You want that to be, you know, Koros Torkin's monument to his life. I know I wouldn't. I'm not speaking for you. But I think that this is a debacle. I think it's an insult. And I will respect anybody who respects me. The moment that line is crossed, I don't respect you. And it's going to take a lot for you to earn my trust and respect. And at this point, I've been driving past this mound of sand since I'm a kid. I like it. I like hawks, I like eagles. I'm not a tree hugger. You know, you know, you wasted a lot of our time. I know you're a lovely guy, and you know, you keep your nose clean, and that's lovely. But you wasted a lot of our time.
Thank you.
I have only, and lastly, I just have to say, I have always hated social media. But in this instance, I'm grateful for it. Because if there was not social media, I wouldn't know about this at this point. So I think everybody who's on Facebook, Instagram, anything, you need to, I learned nothing from either of you. Nothing.
But it's a community meeting.
No, it's not.
I know these two. I know these two, so I can push them along. Go ahead.
I understand that, but I would have liked to have learned more and possibly been convinced, and I'm not.
Hi, Jen. Do me a favor, on my good side. But listen, let me start off. I'm guilty, just like everybody else here. I only get involved when it finally gets to this point. Let me tell you, yeah, you're right. I know Stephen Spooches really well. And what he told me to do was come to this meeting and voice my opinion, knowing my opinion is against this. So get that under your skin right now. Good friend of his, against this project, coming to speak. You know, he does go to every meeting, and he does tell me, I get at least the privilege of kind of getting some word of what's going on through him. But we're all guilty of it. You know, we do need to get involved in the civic groups. We do need to join and go to all our board meetings together. But honestly, I grew up in Mineola, Garden City, and I remember Roosevelt Raceway. Well, guess what? I'm explaining to you what happened there and why this is a bad project. I'm actually agreeing with you. And if you listen to me for 30 seconds, you'll understand that. Okay? Now, I grew up where Roosevelt Raceway was vacant. Nothing was there. It was nice, no traffic. I grew up where Roosevelt Field was just Alexander's. Then it became Macy's. Then it became 3 times larger. And then I despised going on Old Country Road. I, to this day, hate going on Old Country Road. What happened after that? Source Mall. What happened after that? Shake Shack and the other outlets over there. It's miserable. My commute right now to get to the Northern Standalone LIE is really bad. And honestly, tax dollars don't change my quality of life. I want a better quality of life. I agree with all of you.
You have to be honest, though, he has not been in a town board meeting, and since...
Listen, I have to be honest, he knows a lot more than probably 90% of us here. Agree with him or not. It's
not about me,
involved.
it's not about
But
me,
that's
it's
not, what
involved.
I'm trying to say is we need
Let's
to
move
all
on.
get actively involved. We need to make sure when this board meeting
Yeah.
happens, we get 5 extra friends to go in there and voice our opinion, to really realize that this vote, if it goes through, it's not good for the vote in November, right? And that's what we need to start doing. I agree with you, man. My quality of life is very important to me. I have a commute every single
I can
day.
throw you out.
Yes, you can throw me out. But I needed to make a point that this is great, but we should see like 5 times more people for stuff. Really voice our opinions.
Yeah.
Couple minutes, I'll throw you out too. I know you too, so I can do that to you.
For the sake of brevity, just, this property is currently zoned 1 acre residential. Everyone is aware of that and agrees with that? Okay. So my question is, a gentleman actually asked it a few minutes ago, did not get an answer. We deserve an answer. My question is, the only reason that we're all here, and the reason that this is now before the town board, is because that master plan was changed. The gentleman a few minutes before me said the only reason you can change that is there has to be a compelling, significant reason. Can we get that answer tonight?
As far as I know, the master plan has not.
Do you want to use this? I think everyone would like to hear this.
As far as I know, the master plan has not been changed. Planning.
If we're going to talk facts, if we're going to talk facts, the only reason that this is before the town board is because the planning board made a recommendation to change the master plan. If they did not make that recommendation, it would not be before the town board. So we're talking facts. That's what you said in the beginning. We're talking facts. What was the significant, compelling reason? If you don't know the answer, you can say that, but I'm going to hold the two of you accountable to get the word out to all of us, because that's why we're here, to get this information.
First response I made, you said that the planning board changed the master plan, and I said there has not been changed. You're correct that they made a recommendation to the town board to consider amending the master plan with a mixed-use development. What that means is whatever they wrote in their resolution is what I understand is exactly what you know. There's nothing more that I know from them other than the resolution.
I'm going to ask the question again. For the planning board to make a recommendation to the town board to change the zone, there had to be a significant, compelling reason to change the master plan. My question to you is, what is the significant, compelling reason that the planning board recommended to the town board to change the zone?
The answer from both of us, if I can speak for him, neither one of us serve on the planning board. I don't know. What decisions they made is the resolution.
I have no idea.
Mr. Torkin, in all due respect, for you to get this, you had to provide information to them to make this change. Should we just say that you don't know the answer?
Bob.
Mr. Spruces, I think, look,
If you want to attack me, you can.
I'm not attacking you, I'm asking you a question. Steve, come on, you said in the beginning, we're here for facts. Let's be, look, there's a lot of people here, yourself included, we all have families. The reason we're all here is we want answers. That's the first answer we need to have, because without that, we wouldn't be here, this wouldn't be in front of the town, this wouldn't be going before the town board on May 17th. Let's get that answer.
So, Bob.
Didn't get a single answer, not a single answer tonight.
Okay.
Not a single answer.
I do, but I agree with the gentleman before me. Agree or not, Steve Spruces does put a lot of time into the town. So, Steve, I commend you and I thank you.
And at the end of the day, I'm gonna finish off after this gentleman goes.
I just have a very simple question. Do you by any chance have an option to the adjacent property owned by the sister? Do you know if anybody does?
Nobody does.
Not yet.
All right, in 2 minutes closing arguments here. I appreciate you all coming out. The goal of this was exactly what happened. We had a few people that were supposed to be here that did not come, to no fault of our own. However, I'm glad to see you guys getting involved. Stay involved, get involved in your local civics, and let's be a community once again. Thank you very much. Oh, also, if you guys can, if you want to stay for drinks, hang out to support the Moose Lodge, who gave us this venue. So, thank you very much. Shit, you got me fucking 3 hours. I'm gonna say something else.